Govardhan ki jai, Govardhan Puja ki jai, Sri Anukur Mahotsav ki jai. John, he's like open and real. Jai the Bhakti Siddhaswami Maharaj ki jai. Jai the Bhakti Lord. Not now. Jai the Bhakti Jai. You can show the deities on the screen. Yes. And so here take your mobile camera and so Jai Om Vishnu Padma Mahanta Parivajaka Charja Satel Shri Srimad Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnu Padma Bhakti Vakakshvidar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai. Jai Saparikar Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Radha Govinda Sundar Radha Govinda Sundar ki Jai. Shri Giriraj Govardhan ki Jai. Jai Saparikar Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Diyu ki Jai. Shri Rupanuga Guru Varga ki Jai. Shri Rup Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Diva Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath Sad Goswami Prabhu ki Jai. Shri Swarup Ramananda ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vansadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Govinda Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki Jai. Giriraj Govardhan ki Jai. Shri Govardhan Puja ki Jai. Shri Anukut Mahotsav ki Jai. Shri Shri Vrindavan Dham ki Jai. Navadip Dham ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki Jai. Shri Gupta Govardhan ki Jai. Ganga Devi, Jamuna Devi, Bhakti Devi, Tulsi Devi ki Jai. These lights are not necessary. These. And oh, if you need them, okay. All right, then it's okay. Ganga Devi, Jamuna Devi, Bhakti Devi, Tulsi Devi ki Jai. Om Vishnu Pad Vishvavarain Esralesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Madhacharya Vrinda ki Jai. Jai Shri Bhakti Vimalavadut Maharaj ki Jai. Jai Shri Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki Jai. Sannyasi Vrinda ki Jai. Seva Vrinda ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Nija Nikata Nivasa Dehi Govardhanatvam ki Jai. Shri Govardhan Puja ki Jai. Shri Anukuta Mahotsav ki Jai. Nitai Go Premanande. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki Jai. Maharaj, say a few words so we can hear you.
Maharaj, I'm here to serve, and we're here on this wonderful day of Govardhan Puja, which is very much ingrained, at least in our mundane memories, but in our hearts, from both Navadip and Vrindavan, Mathura Mandal. The Govardhan Pujas in Govardhan and the Govardhan Pujas in Navadip, both before Gupta Govardhan and then, before Govinda Kund and after the manifestation of the temple in Govinda Kund. So today we're very happy that we're joining with yourselves. We are all joining together, seated there in Gupta Govardhan, where Giriraj and Giriraj are there, along with Shri Guru Gauranga, Radha Govinda Sundaju. So Maharaj, we are here to hear at your home.
Yes, and we should mention that this evening we will continue, as we said previously, with the Brajamandal Parikrama. We sort of decided to save Govardhan for this time, and that so in the evening we will be doing the Manasaganga, Haridev, Kusum Sarovara, Govinda, etc. But we're keeping the focus right now on the Govardhan Puja and this particular aspect of the pastimes and what we've heard. But at any moment, anything could happen. What is, Mars, you said Gurudev always put by the will of providence, or
yeah, yes, the published program may change by the will of providence.
So just like in the Sanatan Shiksha, Mahaprabhu's instructions to Sanatan Goswami, famous Rupa Shiksha, Ramananda Sambad, we heard about recently, Rupa Shiksha, instructions to Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Shiksha, instructions to Sanatan Goswami Prabhu. And that's massive, occupies a massive portion of the Madhya Lila. Actually, I remember just like volume after volume. I mean, we would be excited when the books were coming out. But I remember a chapter Prabhupada might have titled The Opulence and Sweetness of Krishna. So Mahaprabhu was telling all these things about the science of devotion, and in many places it seems similar to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. And remember, these are not just distinct, like only here. It's never like that. In Ramananda Sambad, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is being quoted. So if someone's like, was it written before? Don't think like that. Just listen to what he says. It's an ocean, and I'm going to take a drop, Rupa, and explain that to you. And then Ramananda saying, you're playing me. You're making like an instrument. The master musician plays the instrument, and he's giving, oh, what a good instrument I have. Or, oh, see how sweet it sounds. Yeah, he's saying, but you're making those sounds. You're causing me to say all these things. So in the Sanatan Shiksha, at one point, it just sort of goes, like suddenly Mahaprabhu cannot stop talking about the beauty and sweetness of Krishna. And it goes on, and then at the end he's saying, oh, I became distracted. There's something I wanted to tell you, I was telling you, and then I got overwhelmed thinking about the beauty and sweetness of Krishna. Almost apologetically, he's saying that. And of course, it's the most beautiful things that you've ever heard. And he is apologizing. Oh, I got overwhelmed thinking about the beauty and sweetness of Krishna, and maybe didn't continue with what I wanted to say in terms of instruction. But that in itself is instructive. So we mentioned Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, that devotees were somewhat surprised when just before he left the world, he expressed his heartfelt desire to go to Govardhan. And this was heartbreaking for the devotees because he was in such a fragile state on his disappearance bed. And he said, please take me by bullock cart. And then that just really was too much, and they were actually preparing one, a bullock, because there's the one side like Prabhupada said. So they've got bullock cart and they're trying to put cushions to make it come. And then others are saying, no, we can't acquiesce to this. Some divine thing is coming from the heart of Prabhupada. And it was counsel, but that was the fact that some divine aspiration was appearing from his heart, right? In line with that of Srila Saraswati Thakur, in line with that of Srila Gurudev, Srila Guru Maharaj, in line with that, of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and the Rupa Nuga line, and the best student in the Rupa Nuga line, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. And what is it called? Govardhana Prarthana. where each line ends, Nija Nikata Nivasa Dehi Govardhanatvam, where he's praying to Govardhan, like for a position near, like not central, but always the proper aspirational expression of the devotee is the least position. So he's saying near, if you'll give me shelter nearby. So, and the reason I mentioned Saraswati Thakur as well is because he also said or expressed this aspiration to achieve shelter in Govardhan. So, and he had arranged with the Panda of the Gaudiya Math that told him, arrange some place for me. That's where I want to come and do my bhajan. And then December 31st came, and transitioning of 36 into 37. And this Panda had a vision of Saraswati Thakur, vision dream, saying, his name was Balaram. He said, Balaram, I've come. And he was a little perplexed and contacted, but he said, oh, Prabhupada has gone into the upper world. So right at that moment, he said, Balaram, I've come. Right? Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami also expressed his aspiration of bhajan kutir, which we take it at the Sridhar Swami Seva Ashram in Govardhan is his bhajan kutir, pushpa samadhi, but really like bhajan kutir and consonant with his expressed wishes to do his bhajan there. And so, as we've heard from Guru Maharaj, who established the Chaitanya Saraswat Math in Gupta Govardhan. But he told me when he got the inspiration in Birachandrapur from Nityananda Prabhu, he didn't just rush to Mayapur or in Navadvip Dham, but he went to where? The Aparad Bhanjan Airpot, where all the offenders are forgiven their offenses. And there's some hidden mercy encrypted in this conception. Govardhan. Srila Guru Maharaj said, when was Srimat Chaitanya Saraswata Matabara Udgita Kirtir Jayasan Bibrat Sambati Gangatata, on the banks of Gangatata, Navadvip, Kola Adriraje. Adriraje means the king of the mountain, means Govardhan. So when Srila Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj and Srila Guru Maharaj met, when Guru Maharaj was invited for the inauguration, the Chaitanya Chandrodaya Mandir, the world headquarters of International Society for Krishna Consciousness, they're discussing when they met. And few different places, but one such time was on the Braja Mandal Parikrama. And so the time came, they're in a place, and you know, the camp moves, there's an advance party there. It's very interesting, the logistics of the whole thing. Saraswati Thakur, group of intimate followers, then a greater group. So this one particular day, they say, the sannyasis are going to lead the parikramis to see Sheshai, which is a particular form of Vishnu, but connected to the Braja Gopis. And very wonderful, you know, and they're going to do that. And then they said, otherwise, Prabhupada will take the class, which means Srila Saraswati Thakur will be giving the class that evening. So Srila Swami Maharaj, he stayed, Guru Maharaj stayed. And at that time, Swami Maharaj Prabhupada says to Guru Maharaj, he said, I am thinking, what will I see if I go on that? And you hear Guru Maharaj go, I exercise. And they both start giggling, because that's what Saraswati Thakur would say sometimes. Because again, to underscore Guru Maharaj's principle, as beautiful as they are, the deities have the capacity to see us, and we have a very small capacity to see them. Sometimes by the grace of our Guru Maharaj, Guru Varga, or some service related activity, they may reveal something of their beauty to the servitors, and we're happy with that. But because we're always in the inverse position, thinking about what can people see when, you know. But Guru Maharaj gives the inverse, saying, no, they can see you more than you can see yourself. Come before them, you know, with tilak and nicely dressed and clean, and present yourself to be seen by them. That is the darshan, and that will be beneficial for us. Anyway, so Prabhupada Swami says, what will I see? I exercise. They're like, oh. So they stay. And this is an interesting point too, that because sometimes people will, devotees, those aspiring in the devotional line will say, oh, I can't understand all these things that are being said, or these different philosophical points. But what I want to say, what we've heard from Guru Maharaj about Srila Saraswati Thakur, this was the case for many of his disciples who were highly educated people with sanskar, you know, some background. They were born in Goramandal or different places. They didn't, Saraswati Thakur's talks were so high and deep, and the reason I'm making this point, with folded palms, bowed head, even Srila Prabhupada, Swami Maharaj himself said, I've heard him say, he said, some things my Guru Maharaj said, I could understand. Other things he said, I could not understand. But I went on listening. That point he made. And at this time, Saraswati Thakur, he said, oh, he doesn't go. Like that was in his favor. He's like, he's staying, even though some of these things may be difficult to understand. We're told, Saraswati Thakur would give a talk, 3 people would write, you know, like while he's speaking, so that there's a transcription, because they're not recordings at time or accessible to them. And then they compare notes at the end to make the proper transcript. But at the end, Guru Maharaj would be explaining to other devotees what they had just heard. Think about that for a moment. So he's like, now he's going to explain to you the talk that you just heard. So, so they both stayed to hear that talk. Guru Maharaj says, like, he remembers the talk, you know, the subject matter of the talk. And he says, that evening Prabhupada gave, you know, a revolutionary new conception of Govardhan. And what just really is too much for me to take is this is one of those tapes where there's like very little explanation, and then it just somehow the recording is one of those things, leaves us in a hankering position. But essentially, we get, by assimilating, assembling other things he said, that it's very beautiful. Like there's a famous sloka from Rupa Goswami has a sloka collection, and they're not just his own, which I think is really wonderful. Like he has slokas from others that he likes and keeps and sings from time to time. And the one which ends with no diksham nacha satkriyam puruscharjam managichite mantroyam rasanas prageva palati Sri Krishna nama maka. He's saying that if the holy name of Krishna wants to express himself, no diksham, nacha satkriyam, naspurucharjam, managisha, there's no prerequisites required, just the will of Krishna. And Saraswati Thakur connects this to Govardhan and Krishna's being a cowherd. And he thinks, so when they want to make more cows, right, when you have a bull, a potent source, and he's saying, whether it is Brahmin cow, Kshatriya cow, Vaishya cow, you know, the caste of the cow is irrelevant. And I always think that little cow, Dum Dum Park, Davali, she was, just found, or I don't know where she, oh, get right. But she was like down this, and then she gave birth to so many, and so we're saying when the cowmen want to make more cows, they have the bull and cow, and they just, in this way, they increase the numbers and expand it. So he's saying, giving a new interpretation. So Krishna, mercifully, when he wants to extend his conception, no consideration of caste, this, just the will of Krishna to, because he's a cowherd, that's how they do it. When they want to increase the numbers, there's no other consideration other than the potent source and the receptive, the recipients. So that's part of the wonders of Govardhan, and Krishna's being located in the middle position. Actually, if you drew a line, here's Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. If you drew a line across the middle, that would put Vaishyas and Shudras in the lower section. So Guru Maharaj like to say, Krishna comes from the lower section of society. So he's like, his position is hidden, because you think, oh no, he should be a Brahmin. In Gaur Leela, interestingly, Nimai Pandit is a Brahmin. But in Krishna Leela, he is disguised as the cowherd. So this section of the Bhagavatam, interestingly, it comes just after the wives, the Yagya Patnis, the wives of the Brahmins. And if you remember, in essence, what was the difficulty? It had to do with some Yagya also. Remember, Krishna and the Balaram and the cowherd boys, they're playing in Vrindavan forest, working up an appetite. And so Krishna says, there's some Brahmins, tells some of the cowherd boys, there's some Brahmins nearby, go ask them for some prasad, some, And he said, because I'm from the lower section of society, don't ask in my name. But Baladev, who's sometimes considered Kshatriya, although he's also, it's there. He said, so they might look more favorably if you ask in Baladev's name. Anyway, the boys go there, but they ask in Krishna and Balaram, and those Brahmins are like, what, audacity you have. We have more mantras to chant. There's more puja. There's more stuff we have to do, more ritual, And at the proper time, when everything is finished, then there will be, so after Vishnu, Yagya, the Lord of sacrifice, Yagyeshwar, Vishnu, after he is taken, then there will be something, And they return like empty-handed. Krishna is just smiling the whole time and says, go to these Brahmins' wives. They're not qualified to do all those sacrifices, chant all those mantras and do all those things. They're at home cooking, doing different things. Just go approach them. And they are overjoyed at this opportunity. Up to this point, they heard about Krishna and they're so excited. They're putting on their garments backwards, upside down, the wrong thing, and grabbing everything and running toward Krishna. And what do they find? And Krishna leaning with his arm on another cowherd boy. And we're told he's twirling a lotus flower. Shamam hiranya paridam vanabalya barha. Tatu prabala nadavesham anavratangse. Vinyastamastamitharenu gunam abjam. Karnot kapola mukhabjahasam. Talking about he's wearing those forest flowers, 5 different colors. He's got different, he ornaments himself with things that spring out of the soil of Vrindavan. That's his favorite. But he has this lotus flower and he's twirling it, right? And they're all mesmerized by the lotus, and he has like a mischievous smile. And when he twirls the lotus flower, we're told their hearts start turning and they're all busy. So he twirls that and then their hearts twirl and they're filled with amorous sentiments. And Krishna just smiling, but happily to receive them. So anyway, you see there, so you could say a yajna was going on and Krishna was denied. So no wonder he has an attitude by the time you get to the next chapter. So, but in this one, we're told the annual Indra Yajna has come, right? The cowherd men there and ladies, Gopi, they're all simple-hearted folks. They know their whole livelihood is the cow keeping. Krishi Go Raksha Banijam, Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam, mentioned in the Gita, that Go Raksha, cow protection, keeping, that's Vaishya Swadharma, and other things, but this particular group of Vaishya, this is their concentration and their thinking. And then the cows eat the grass, which comes from the rain. So, Hey Krishna. So who's responsible for the rain? Indra. So once a year, we're showing our appreciation. So they're not like foolish, primitive people, you know, worshiping the rain god from one thing. There's some systematic approach here. They're showing some gratitude for these things. And in Vedic culture, it's a higher concept to understand behind everything is floating in consciousness. Consciousness, it cannot be divorced from personality. So behind all of this is a person. So they're showing some annual tribute to Indra. And so they're gathering all the ingredients for that and getting ready for the big annual Indra Yajna. And that's when Krishna, who's, you know, like 5, 6, 7-year-old boy, starts inquiring from Nanda Maharaj and saying, is this like just some tradition and nobody really knows what's going on? We just do it. Or there's some Vedic understanding here, there's some Shastric reference, but you know. And factoring in that he's a child, precociously asking these questions, he said, and I know, you know, someone like you see everyone equally. So he's already canceling that. And he's like, you're just, because he's just a boy. Why do we have to explain to him? He's saying like, no, but I know generous personalities like yourself see everyone equally. So whether from the, you know, the mouths of babes, from a child, or from other, you know, certainly you'll, you know, generously, mercifully answer these questions. And as we represented before, why they do this. Then Krishna, being so clever, he actually starts speaking atheistic philosophy to convince them otherwise, known as karma mimamsa, karmavad. And he's basically saying that karma is supreme, right? Even above God. He's saying, because if you say that Indra is reciprocating, then that means he himself is a slave of karma, right? Because then he has to, if you've done this, then he must reciprocate that. But we also see, in terms of rain, those who are not doing any observable puja, like the ocean, the road, the asphalt road, well, maybe it didn't have asphalt, but you know, you understand, ponds, like it's raining on the ocean, it rains everywhere, not just for people who are doing yajna or, you know, offering some tribute. And that means also, and in terms of this action-reaction thing, then that would mean that God's hands are tied too, that he has not much, because if you did this, then he has to supply, reciprocate what you've done. So then he's also what's the word? Subordinate, subservient to karma. So Krishna is saying, karma is supreme. And imagine, they're all like, with the handlebar mustache, like listening, he's like this, they're like that. They're all listening to Krishna. And and another thing, like, while I've got your attention, they're all listening to this. And then if you really think about it, yeah, all right, so it rains, then the grass, but like our cows, where do they get their nourishment from? By the way, just a footnote on Karmavad. It's basically, Karmavad is that whether there is a God or isn't a God, who can say? Be reasonable. You can, you don't really know. So. But you know the difference between right and wrong. So do the right thing. Then if there is a God, you're doing the right thing. If there isn't a God, you're doing the right thing. You're good. But see, in that way, God, gets marginalized into irrelevancy, and then karma becomes supreme. So, as I told when I was in Jamaica with Goswami once, and stay in the son's room, the son was reluctant to take over the family business. Father put a picture of Krishna and Arjuna on the back, and Arjun's like this, and Krishna's going like that. And he said, Lord is saying, get a job. Like karma, I was saying, I don't remember that chapter. Get a job. Well, and do your duty, like you see Arjuna like this. So people extract that sort of thing. They're the karma mimamsas, the karma badins, etc. Otherwise in the modern world known as pragmatists. So but then Krishna is saying, speaking of being pragmatic, saying our cows, they eat the sweet grass of Govardhan. And they're like ha paniya. What do the Braja Gopis say? And their Hantaya Madrilabala Haridasa Bharja Yad Rama Krishna Charana Pramoda Sparasha Pramoda Manam Tanoti Sahagoganayas Tayoryat Paniya. Paniya Suya Basa Kandara Kandamule, like Ha Paniya, Paniya Suya Basa. The sweet water, sweet grass, and caves, provides caves for the pastime. So, Giriraj Govardhan, you are Haridas Bharja. You are the best servant of Hari. I know there's 3 who are called Haridas Bharja. Govardhan, Uddhava, and Yudhisthira was the 3rd. Anyway, other time. So Krishna is saying, so really, everything we get for our occupational duties and necessity comes from Govardhan. That's where the cows get the sweet grass, the water, everything we need, it comes from Govardhan. So what we should really be doing, because Indra, he has to do what he has to do. There's, with or without sacrifice. It's not going to stop raining, believe me. So let's take it's very nice, all the things you've assembled, and let's worship Govardhan. And they're all, well, that makes sense. Like, yeah, well, why not? Why didn't I think of that? And if you look sometimes they say like a few, they might have been, but Nanda Maharaj, like everybody, Jai. So they just take everything, like shift, do the Govardhan shift, take everything. And so as those gopis are telling, it's so beautiful. And this presents, a little bit of an ontological perplexity. Because they think, well, wait, and we'll see later on this pastime, or we could even preface it by saying, Chakravarti Thakur says, Govardhan can do whatever he wants. right? He can even appear in the form of a snake to dispense with a non-believer or offender. So we think, oh, he can take this side. We're thinking like size. He said, not only he can do anything because he's Krishna, he can take on many different forms. But I think the sweetest thing I've heard, because we'll hear so many things from Garga Sangita about Giriraj in ancient times or before, but we're going to stay in this section of the Leela. But Guru Maharaj said, he's like Mahaprabhu. Like Jiva Goswami, what does he say about Mahaprabhu? Anta Krishna Bahir Goram Darshitang Garibhaibhabam. Internally Krishna, but in the mood of a devotee, his beloved Radha Baba Duty Subalita, Nomi Krishna Srupam. So you think, Giriraj, he's Krishna, but he is in the internally, but in the form of a devotee. What is that verse from the lips of the Braja Gopis? Hantaya Madra Labala Haridas Varja Yad Rama Krishna Charana Sparasha Pramod. The touch of the lotus feet of Krishna and Balaram gives you great joy, is making him very happy. Then the other things, supplying the grass to the cows, the sweet waters, which Chakrabarti Thakur said are like ponds of pramic tears. They're prem tear ponds, right? And the caves for their confidential pastimes. So they're praising him and the role of Haridas Varja. But here, in this pastime, so Krishna, once he redirects everyone toward the puja, Govardhan. And I like to say this, then I thought about it, because there's this saying that we heard growing up, and it's popular in the West of the world, that, you know, render to Caesar those things about like how you structure things in your life. Render to Caesar what's for Caesar, and render to God what is for God. But I'm saying beautifully in this pastime, what was meant for Caesar, Indra, you should also give to God. And remember, this is just we're talking about Leela and pastimes, right? Keep it in that zone and realm, but it's sweet. Like those things you should also give. So Krishna tells the Brijbasis to begin this Govardhan Puja with all the Indra paraphernalia, and how to also take care of the Brahmins, and from like the highest level Brahmins down to the animals. He even says dogs and dog eaters, and you know, like everybody should become happy in this festival, and we should all, with our carts, bullock carts, and you know, go circumambulate Govardhan, and you know, and offer so many things. And we're told at one point that suddenly they see Krishna has become Govardhan, as if Chakrabarti Thakur says, as if here's Govardhan Hill, then another on top. And they see all these offerings that everybody's making. He has thousands and millions of, and he's taking everything and eating it. And so they're looking like Krishna here. Oh, now that's Krishna. Oh, it's going back. There's the boy Krishna, but then he's showing that he's also Govardhan. Govardhan is also Krishna. He's accepting everybody's offerings, and everyone is just in mass astonishment, right? So Krishna is also participating in that, but he's also Govardhan and all these kind of things. Meanwhile, in Swargaloka, they have Indra is very, what's happening with, you know, the little behind schedule on the annual Indra Puja, Yajna, tribute. What's going on down there? What? You know, Krishna's eating his lunch, so to speak. He's eating everyone, everything and everything. Anyway, then we're told Indra, and by the way, you know, other gods helped in the assault, like Vayu, in the form of 7 different types of wind. Not good. So Indra, we know he's a, what is the Sambartaka cloud, which is the equivalent of what? Hurricane, tornado, typhoon, all the worst imaginable devastating, you know, thunderbolt throwing clouds and raining columns of water. It seems the entire earth could have been flooded, right? Due to Krishna's Icha Shakti and other potencies, not even the rivers overflowed. That's right. It appeared toward the end like they were dry, needed some flow. But Indra's throwing everything is, and remember, he's the carrier of the thunderbolt, throwing these thunderbolts, the different types of devastating clouds, they're raining like that. And what is it? Remember, Krishna, the bhav consumer, bhavagrahi janardana, the devotees, Paritanaya sadhanam vinashaya chaduskritam, as Gurudev once said, if they're not put into difficulty, no rescue necessary. So then we can understand repeatedly in the pastimes of Krishna, devotees are placed into difficulty. And I mean, difficulty is a mild word. So that's raining columns of thunderbolts are coming down, you know, hurricane, tornadoes, all these things going on. And Krishna's beloved devotees, they're put into great anxiety. The cows and calves are crying out, the bridge basis, you know, and they all turn to him. And it's very beautiful because they say, according to the Bhagavatam, Govinda, save us. They use the name Govinda. All that will come later, but in the Leela, they, according to Bhagavatam, they approach him as Govinda, which is perfect. Govinda, who's, well, anyway, we'll hear that later, the meaning of Govinda. But so they come to him, and you imagine, they're all crying, and they're like drenched and like, what are we gonna do? And then Krishna employs his, and seeing the distress of his devotees, that is the point. That's what gets to the heart of Krishna. That when devotees are in great distress, that they turn to him. That's what we're supposed to do. Like if we say, what is the takeaway? There are infinite takeaways from the infinite pastimes of Krishna. But one of them is, when we're at odds with the powers that be in the world, that we turn to Krishna for shelter, to Govinda. Right? So, you know, Goptritve Bharanam Yata. This, Guru was saying, this is the principal anga of Sharanagati. So, the Sanhariki Shakti, one of the many Shakti, makes a path from Krishna's doorstep, because they all went to Krishna's house, right? Nanda Bhavan, you know, a path all the way to where Govardhan is. And so we're told, not one drop of water even went on Krishna's turban on his way over. And that's when Krishna arrives at the foot of Govardhan Hill, and with his left hand, you know, he lifts up. That's why he's Giridhari, Govardhanadhari, means Dhari, who's the carrier of. Giridhari, Govardhanadhari. He lifts up Govardhan Hill and tells all the, come on and take shelter of Govardhan. And of course they all do. And Indra's still throwing, and we're told, like, again, if there was some little activity on the upper part, but nothing. He lifts it like an umbrella, Lilos chilindrum the top. Someplace it says like the way a child picks up a mushroom, goes no exertion. Like so, the way a child plucks a mushroom, holding like an umbrella, like that. Everyone comes under, like Nanda Maharaj, Jashoda Mai, Rohini, all the elder gopas, gopis, Radharani and the Braja gopis, all the cows, the calves, other lives, everyone, you know, some are still on the top actually, but they're okay too. And for 7 days, there's all of that. And some interesting things to note is that generally others have to go home. Right? Can't stay with Krishna all day and all night. Like Guru was saying, Vatsalya Rasa, Madhura Rasa, antagonistic toward one another. And he means in a sweet way. He's saying, Yashoda wants Krishna to get a good night's sleep. Braja Gopis want to rendezvous with Krishna in the depths of the Vrindavan forest. So naturally, there is some antagonism there. Sweet, right? But interesting that you can't normally like stay 24 hours unless you're in a certain group. So for 7 days, everybody is there. And they're all not thirsty. They're not tired. No, they're not hungry. Because why? They're drinking the liquid beauty of the nectar of Krishna. They're feasting. Like what does Jayadev say? Vishvesham Manoranjanena Janayan Anandam Indivara Sreni Shamala Kamalai Anangotsavam. That Krishna's divine form is like a festival for the eyes, just drinking the beauty of Krishna's form, seeing his glance, his beauty, his sweetness. And so they're all happy. And also Krishna is being nourished by the Braja, and in the periphery is Radharani and the Braja Gopis. And Krishna, like, you know, the Nayana Hari, the, what do you call it? Sidelong glance, he's sending to them. They're appreciating. And we're told sometimes when Krishna is so enamored by the beauty of Srimati Radharani and Braja Gopis that his hand starts to tremble. And it's like, you know, increased drama. Then those cowherd men you see at the front of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, Gupta Govardhan and Navadvip, those cowherd with their sticks, they're holding, because sometimes there's like a little bit of drama there, they're holding, and later saying, you know, we helped. I don't think he could have done it on his own, but, you know, we were helping. And it's mentioned in some places that Yashoda Mai and Rohini, she's thinking, you know, Jnana Shunya Bhakti, that, you know, he's just a kid. How long can he hold this hill? She doesn't think, well, how could he do what he just did? But he's saying, he's just a boy. How long can he keep holding that? Day after day. Like, it's too much. You ask too much of my son. So Rohini and his son, all right, don't worry, son. And they're coming with freshly churned butter, putting the butter in the mouth of Krishna. Like, I'm feeling it. You know, like, he's holding that. I think that butter will give him the strength that he needs. And then when Indra finally sees that all these thunderbolts, clouds of devastation are not having any effect, gradually it was all about ego and pride, and he's beginning to feel a little foolish, call off the thunderbolts, the rain and all that, and stop, let's rethink the situation. And we're told in the beginning of the Bhagavatam, Muhyanti Yatsuraya, that a necessary part of Krishna Lila is that the devas will be bewildered. So there's Brahma Vimohan, there's Indra Mohan. This is Indra Mohan, the bewilderment of Indra. So he stops all that. Then Krishna is telling her, it's okay now. No more rain and lightning. And then, so then Krishna puts the Govardhan, and we're told not even one aspect was out of place. Perfectly puts it back. And then the cowherd men, they rush over to Krishna and they start massaging him, particularly his left arm. And they're also going like breaking his, cracking his knuckles and massaging the left arm, and he's like, yeah, oh. They're simple-hearted, pure. They love Krishna so much. They're thinking, must be tired of 7 days. And Krishna, the cowherd men start, even though they're simple-hearted, they're thinking and want to have a little conference, Istagosti, with Nanda Maharaj. Saying like, too many miracles are happening with Gopal. We know they go, and that's very beautiful in the Bhagavatam. Because this, how they recount the different pastimes, short, but there's about Putana, Trinavarta, Shakatasura, Nalakuvara, Manigriv, Mantadama, just one, Putana, all these different pastimes, and there are rumors that Gopal is not one of us. They say that is an aspect of Parakiya Bhav. It's not just limited to Paramore, but the sense of an other. Yashoda does not like to hear these things. And somebody would say, Gopal's not my son, he's the son of some others. She doesn't like to hear that. Thinks they're envious, people who make these suggestions and vicious rumors. So they're also thinking, and then Nandamar is quoting Garga Rishi. Well, Garga, when he gave his chart, he said that he's like Narayan. So we could expect some extraordinary miraculous, that in itself has to put a smile on your face to say that Krishna is like Narayan. But, and then he said also, what is it? Shukla Raktas Tatapita, some Idanim, some, he's saying, and this boy, he comes in different ages and different colors. Now he's Shama Sundar, but he came before in different. So he said he did say he has some extraordinary capacity. So he's trying to placate them, and does. But it ends that section with this verse. Deve Varshati Yagya Viplaba Rusha Radrasa Barshani Light Siddhat Pala Pashu Spriyatma Shananam Ut Yaika Ut Kam Sam Anukampasam Utpat Yaka Karena Shailam Abalo Lilo Chilindram Data Lilo Chilindram Data Bibrad Ghost Man Ghostam and Madhabit Priyan Indrogavan Ghostama. Mada means pride. They're saying, really, what was this about? That Krishna does not like to tolerate the pride in the heart of a devotee because it's obstructing their devotional flow. So Deve Varsity, this rain coming from this Deve Varsity, Yagya Viplava Rusha, stopping the Indra Yaga made Indra angry. Varshan, and then he's sending all these things. And to protect his beloved cowherd people and the cows, etc., what do? Lilos Chilindra plucks the Govardhan like a child picks up a mushroom, holds it like an umbrella, and gives everyone shelter. But really, it is to not only to protect his devotees and show the glories of Govardhan, but also to crush, demolish. Remember, Gurudev has a talk called Demolishing the Pillars of Ego, to demolish the pride in Indra. So Vishwanath Chakrabarti Thakur, he says in one of his comments that, to put it in a nice context, he says 3 things. Remember, Pirikatmar is supposed to die from the curse of Shringi, the brown boy. He said, so that curse, which is like a thunderbolt, comparable, he's saying, you, with the essence of the Vedas, are saving us from that. And then what have you introduced? The yagya of Bhagavad Katha. So that this will be the thing that keeps us, this will be the yagya, like yagye sankirtana praye yajantihi sumedasa is Bhagavata Katha, Hari Katha, Nam Sankirtan by extension. Oh, and the third one, he said to crush the pride of the Brahmins who have no devotion, similar to Indra playing this part in this pastime. So then that leads Indra, who Atma Samiksha, he's undergoing this type of self-analysis to think, what have I done? He comes with Surabhi and his elephant Airavata. And remember, where did they come from? The churning of the milk ocean. Remember the churning, what came out also? Kwananda Kula, the moon came out, Lakshmi Devi came out. So Kwananda Kula Chandrama, as Krishna is the moon coming out of the ocean of the Yaru Bangsha, and Lakshmi Devi representing the supreme goddess of fortune, some indication their divine pastimes. This is a few chapters before the Panchadhyay of the Rasa Leela. So also coming from there is Surabhi and Airavata, Indra's elephant. So in this way, they get some Chandra Bangsha connection. So Indra comes with the 2 of them, and there is Krishna, and he wants to fall at his feet and beg forgiveness and offer himself in service. And he's also appreciating the removal of his pride, right? Mahindra Madhibit, Mahindra, Mahi Indra, means Indra, the king of heaven, Mahindra Madhibit, Priyan, the Indra Gavan. And so then they began having the Abhishek of Krishna first with Surabhi. So she offers her prayers, right? Because she's the representative of Goloka representative, all the cows and divine cows. So she's doing Abhishek of Krishna with milk. And then Airavata, Indra's elephant, he's doing Abhishek with water. And this milk and water, this forms Govinda Kunda. Oh, and at that moment, Indra realized, because Indra means king, actually. So Mahindra, Mahi Indra, means the great king of heaven. they all have names, just like the Manus have Swayambhuva Manu, right, Purandar. So he's Indra, the king of heaven, and then he realizes, in dealing with Krishna, he's saying, you are the Indra Gava, right? The Indra of the cows. Or if you reverse that, becomes Gava Indra, the cow king. And if you take Gava Indra and put it together, it becomes Govinda. So at that time, it's Leela. He's saying, oh, you are Govinda, and you will be known and celebrated as Govinda throughout the world. And that milk and water that wash the divine form of Govinda form Govinda Kunda. And in Srila Gurudev's Arati song, well, actually, he makes reference there in different aratis that he's written, but in one place, he's quoting the Garga Sangita and says that in the future, some fortunate souls, when they're bathing in Govinda Kunda, sometimes they will, that water enters their mouth, perhaps by bathing, and they will taste milk from this time. So we want today, when we do the Arati, to sing the Gupta Govardhan Arati. Hare Krishna. So Madhusudan Maharaj, if you can add some Govardhan Puja Katha.
Maharaj, I can simply add some flavor. You've given us like the topics of substance about Govardhan Hill, but some flavor, Maharaj, and that is that over the recent years at least, and for actually many years, we've been in Govardhan, which is where we feel we are, I think, fairly much today, at the temple of Anugiriraj. And Anugiriraj, first of all, was staying hidden underground, and then revealed when the development of the land came, himself manifest on the land. But then Gurudev had a very simple, small construction made for him. And it was simply so that we would have a temple, a place to worship, and Gurudev gave attention to the building of the Dayatadas Seva Kunj, perhaps, the U-shaped double-story building, which is now just to the right of the temple of Giriraj. But I certainly remember the very early Govardhan Pujas there, where we would come in a one-way system, coming to give Abhishek. Gurudev himself arranged this, that we'd have Abhishek of Giriraj, and that everybody can come one by one and give as yogurt mixed over Giriraj, pouring from a conch shell. And then this continued into the past times when Giriraj came into the large, unique temple in Govardhan, that none of us could think that such a wonderful and sort of grand temple will come. And unique.
Aren't the domes in the shape of mridangas?
Oh, I'd have to check on that one, Maharaj.
Yeah, some of them are.
Then Maharaj, you say, then it must be so.
I'm just saying Gurudev did something new there in some of the architecture. Yeah. And
certainly I know, Maharaj, that Guru Maharaj's Samadhi Mandir in Navadip, that is the shape of a mridanga for sure. Mm-hmm. Because Gurudev was thinking, oh, maybe it should have been taller to get the proper proportions of the mridanga. But maybe our INFINITI Media Studio have got some pictures.
We'll see if they can find a picture while you are speaking.
Yeah. But anyhow, Maharaj, it's a festival day and a happy day in Govardhan and in Navadip, but certainly it's a happy day, Maharaj. And then lots of people doing the parikrama of Govardhan Hill. So there are sounds all around. And if anyone has been to Govardhan or any holy place in India during festivals, you know what sounds all around means. It means we're definitely aware that it's a happy day. And of course, it's a feasting day when so many offerings in all temples around the world, but so many offerings are made to the deities, and temples pride themselves on making 108 offerings or 64 or 32. Or, I mean, really, it's a great joy for the cooks. It's a great joy for everybody, the festival day. And this also applies in Govardhan and in Navadip. I remember in Navadip, so many offerings on this particular day of the Govardhan Puja. So Maharaj, just a little flavor from the devotees' point of view. And Gurudev, you can say, definitely was always happy this day. It's a joyous day. And coming just after Diwali, so that mood of celebration is in the whole of the ether of India, because Diwali, the victory of truth over untruth, the victory of Ramachandra, and lighting the whole city of Ayodhya, etc. And this is very traditional throughout India, that the families come together, a happy music, light time. So Govardhan Puja, the flavor in India, very sweet. A few words from me, Maharaj. There's the temple. Let me just see if I can make it a bit bigger on my screen. There we are. Maharaj, thank you for pointing this out.
I see.
Yes, indeed, Maharaj. I'm so dull, I hadn't made that connection. But the whole temple is unique, this Govardhan temple. And an indication of Gurudev's like unpredictableness, in the sense of, he does everything very simply, very sweetly. But this temple in Govardhan has really come grandly and stands out from the crowd as well, you can say. Hare Krishna. Yes, Maharaj. And in Navadip, by the way, on this day, then along with the Govardhan Puja, which takes place in the center of Govinda Kund, then it will be a day for lots of boat rides and swimming in Govinda Kund. Also a happy day. And by the way, devotees do ask in Navadip, is it okay to swim in the Kund? And I can say very firmly, yes, it is okay to swim in Govinda Kund, at least in Navadip. Gurudev wanted the devotees to be happy, and with his own hand, he actually drew a design for a diving board for the devotees to So really, it's not, I think Gurudev may have liked that we swim in Govinda Kund. He positively was happy, and he was happy when he would come out on his morning or afternoon walks and see devotees kind of joyfully in Govinda Kund. And why we mention Govinda Kund? Because in Navadip, that Govinda Kund, which manifested to the great service joy of Gurudev in fulfilling Guru Maharaj's wish, there in the center of Govinda Kund, although it says it's Mahaprabhu's temple of his water play pastimes, then permanently staying there is Giriraj Govardhan, because his body is suitable for being surrounded by water and being in that humid atmosphere. And Mahaprabhu, he visits rather than stays there. So he has his Leela, his pastime there, but the principal deity there is in fact Giriraj Govardhan. And he's very nicely worshipped every morning. Actually morning, noon, evening, he's worshipped every day. But of course, on the Giriraj Govardhan Puja day, then he's getting special attention. And the devotees all go by boat and climb up onto the balcony? No, anyway, onto the temple where you can go surrounding the temple. And no one's ever fallen in, which is very good. But I'm always thinking, my goodness, so easy with the push, because everybody pushes to get a better view, etc. With all the pushing, it seems like an unexpected swim may be in line for some of the... but very sweet. Yes. And chanting kirtan there, because the place is very small, being just the temple surround in the center of the Kund, then chanting the kirtan there is very intimate and sweet, and we do there seated and also standing when the bathing is taking place, and a big crowd, as many as possible, go there. So in Navadip, very beautiful. In Govardhan, very beautiful. The two principal places that I am familiar with for the Govardhan Puja celebrations. And in Gupta Govardhan, most of our temples around the world, I can think that we also have Giriraj. Maybe not every, well, certainly not every temple, but in many of the temples and ashrams and centers around the world, we have Giriraj. And so it is the festival for every town and village, for every one of our temples. And whether we have Giriraj or not, it's a very Giriraj Govardhan centered day. And we have, of course, the Krishna books, and we have various sections of our own books, our own books, the books of Gurudev and Guru Maharaj, and some excerpts too on scsmat.com. You'll find there today.
Hare Krishna. And also, we know Srila Gurudev, he wrote, we have the Sri Giriraj Govardhan Arati and the Gupta Govardhan Arati, which we want to sing soon. But
Right.
I would like to just so we can hear how Srila Gurudev is expressing the beauty, the glories, and some appreciation. So this is the Sri Giriraj Govardhan Arati. Jaya Jaya Giriraja Aruti Koshobha Sri Brajamandala Magje Jagamana Lobha. All glories to the beautiful Arati of Sri Giriraj, which is going on in Sri Brajamandal, attracting the minds of all living entities of the universe. Pramoda Madana Lila, Sri Radha Raman, Jata Nitya Lira Kore Loyesh Sakigan. Lord Sri Radha Raman, Krishna, who gives pleasure to his beloved Srimati Radharani, is eternally playing his joyful loving pastimes there in the association of the Sakis of Srimati Radharani. Malati Madhavi Kunja, Kondore Kondore, Niguda Nikunja Lila, Hari Manohare. Here deep within the groves of Malati flowers and Madhavi creepers, the confidential pastimes of the charming Lord Hari are going on. In different types of jasmine. Shyama Kunda, Radha Kunda, Kusum Sarobara, Manasa Ganga Dana Gati, Jaya Abhyantara. That'll be nice evening. Within this holy place, there is Shyama Kunda, Radha Kunda, Kusum Sarovar, Manasa Ganga, Dana Gati. Because we should recall, Guru Maharaj quotes Saraswati Thakur in the Prapana Jivan Amritam, saying, what is that? Govardhan, Vrindavanam Hoite Shrestha, Govardhan Hoite Shrestha, Vrindavanam Hoite Shrestha, Govardhan Shrestha, Gandarika Giridhari Jata Krida Koila. That superior to pastimes in Vrindavan, Govardhana Shrestha. So what we generally call Mathura Mandal, within Mathura, because sometimes we'll say Mathura, that is the supreme abode. Yes, within Mathura, Vrindavan, Govardhan, within that area, Radha Kunda, or here he's saying Kusum Sarovar, Manasa Ganga, Dan Gati, Sri Govinda Kunda, Lila Stali Nahi Sima, Dibanishi Bhakta Brinda Kore Parikrama. With Sri Govinda Kunda, these holy places of divine pastimes are without limit. Day and night, the devotees are performing circumambulation and worship. Sridhar Swami Sevashram Parama Shobhan Jata Seva Kore Saraswatagan. Here there is the supremely beautiful Sridhar Swami Seva Ashram, where devotees of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat are performing their eternal service. Abhina Sri Krishna Gyani Bhaji Bharatore Mahaprabhu Samarpila Raghunatha Kore. Sriman Mahaprabhu gave Sri Sri Giriraj Diyu to Raghunath Das Goswami. Like when we think of that, where that pastime occurred, in Vrindavan, in Puri. So there's Jagannath Puri, and so many. We've also seen the Madan Mohan deity that's connected to Sanatana Goswami and Das Goswami. But this Govardhan Shila, we're told, Mahaprabhu keeps on his heart, sometimes puts on his head, on different parts of his body. It's inconceivably wonderful pastimes that it's in remembrance of Shama Sundar Krishna, profuse tears of joy, ecstatic love are coming from his eyes. And so we're told sometimes he keeps on his heart like this. It's very small, like this big. And he keeps like that. And when they, at the Gokula, Radha Gokulananda temple in Vrindavan, when they're showing, giving darshan of that Govardhan Shila, you see a thumb print, we're told, from the love and affection from Mahaprabhu. So that Giriraj, he gives to Raghunath Das Goswami and says he will worship with Tulsi Manjaris and water, Ganga Jal. That's it. Then after some time, the kaja, the sweets, local sweets and things, but beginning Tulsi Manjaris, and we're saying that puja, and we're so much discussion about procedure and paraphernalia and which is right. He said with that those Tulsi Manjaris and that Ganga Jal exceeds the 16 types of, it exceeds any type of puja. So what does that tell us? It's a particular plane of heart, of prem. So Mahaprabhu gave Sri Sri Giriraj Diyu to Raghunath Das Goswami so that Das Goswami could worship his Lord, knowing him to be non-different from Krishna. Goswami Sri Raghunatha Dyasare Smariya Nirantara Seva Kore Antarmana Hoya. The devotees of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat worship Sri Sri Giriraj Diyu in deep mood of devotion and remembrance of Raghunath Das Goswami. Jai Giri Govardhana Dibya Rasaloy Rupa Sanatana Jiva Raghunath Ashroy. All glories to Giri Govardhan, which is the abode of divine rasa and the shelter of Sri Rupa, Sanatan, Jiva, and Raghunath Goswamis. Surendra Munindra Shiva Sukha Mahajan, Dekena Arati Shobha Dhurlabh Darashan. The beauty of the Arati of Sri Giriraj Diyu, which is rare and precious, is being seen by Lord Indra, Nard Muni, Surendra. Lord Indra, Nard Muni, Munindra, Surindra, Munindra, Shiva, Sukadev Goswami, and the Mahajans. Sevyo Sevak Rupe Nitya Parakash, Sane Arati Deke Adamadas. Sri Sri Giriraj Diyu is eternally manifest as both the worshipable Lord and the servitor Lord. There it is. This fallen servant sees the arati of Sri Giriraj Diyu with great ecstasy. Hare Krishna. And where was the verse and praise of Sri Govinda Kunda? Before that. I think that's it. Okay. And Sri Govinda Kunda Mahatmyam, the glories of Sri Govinda Kunda, written by Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. Samudra Sambhava Gavi Surabhi Apan, Dugde Abhishek Koilo Brajendra Nandan, Say Dugde Purna Kunda Sri Govinda Nam, Ramya Giri Govardhane Shobhe Abhiram, Kundabari Mahapap, Kundabari Mahapap Hari Say Chinmoy, Snane Pane Baba Baya, Chip Tri Tapa Nashoy, Bahu Bhagye Kehu Shei, Dug Dashvada Pai, Chidananda Deho Labi Krishna Loke Jai, Sri Krishna Manase Jebo Kore Heta Shnan, Gupta Govardhane Radha Krishna Sevapan. So Abhiram, you should be prepared to do some kirtan. So I'm going to read the translation of this, but soon the offering should come. Before that, some kirtan. Surabhi, the divine cow who appeared from churning the milk ocean, lovingly bathed Brajendranandan Krishna with her own milk. That pond filled with that milk, Sri Govinda Kunda, graces beautiful Govardhan with exquisite beauty. The transcendental water of this Kunda can banish even the greatest sins, the threefold miseries, Adhyatmic, Adidevic, Adibautic, and all fears of this material world are destroyed by bathing in or drinking this water. Sometimes, by great fortune, someone will get to taste the water of Govinda Kunda as that milk, attain a transcendental form, and go to Krishna Loka. Repeat. Sometimes. That's amazing. Bahu Bhagye Kehu Se, Dugdashvad Pai, Chidananda Deho Labi Krishna Loke Jai. Sometimes, by great fortune, someone will get to taste the water of Govinda Kunda as that milk, attain a transcendental form, and go to Krishna Loka. Anyone who bathes in Sri Govinda Kunda, desiring to serve Krishna, attains divine service of Sri Sri Radha Krishna in Gupta Govardhan. Jai Sri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Sri Govardhan Puja ki jai, Sri Anukut Mahotsav ki jai, Jai Saparikar Sri Sri Guru Gauranga Radha Govinda Sundarju ki jai, Sri Giriraj Govardhan ki jai, Nitai Go Primanande, Sri Govinda Kunda ki jai, Sri Surabhi Devi ki jai.
Jai.
So while we're waiting for the offering to come, we'll have some kirtan, unless you want to speak a few more words.
Kirtan sounds like a wonderful idea, Maharaj. Jai.
Now we're going to sing the arati after. You can. Yeah, just sing. I'll be back inside. You'll see the picture will look different. Now, the bow got a piece. Beautiful. Just think of this song. Bhakti Thakur, he's written us. So we have to think, and it's so beautiful. He's giving the insight. Guru said, like, in the general picture, you're told, give the best thing to Krishna. He said, so before you know anything, or when you know very little, you have your idea what is the best thing. He goes, oh, okay, we'll give the best to Guru. I'll give this. He said, then you come in, shelter of the Vaishnava, and you start hearing from the scripture, these are the best things. These type of flowers, not that type of flowers, this type, that, different things are mentioned. But Guru said, but when you come in connection with a higher Vaishnava, then what they tell you, that's the most value. So in this song, all these things that are being offered here from Bhakti Thakur, I mean, it's from his divine vision. Because you can see, like, where did he, observe these things? Ruchi, Sarpuri, Ladu, Rasavali, but he does. And when you see what's in the song, and after all of that, what's offered to Krishna, then Yasomati Adyapaye Danistani, Yashoda tells Danista, go to Krishna, and Sri Krishna Prasada, Radha, Bunde, Hoye, Prito, give that to Radharani, who relishes it with so much happiness, and distributes to Lalita Vishaka, all of her assembled Sakis, Mandaris, that they all have, and then it gradually goes down to others and comes back down. Without further ado. Govardhan Puja ki jai, Mahotsav ki jai, Govardhan ki jai. Hare Krishna, Nama Priya Diri Dandavat, Kali Kadama Diri Dandavat with Abhinava Sundar Dandavat, Kalindi Priya Dandavat, Jai Bhakti Aswai Dandi Maharaj, Das Honor Das, wherever you may be, Elena, Jamuna's mother Dandavat, and the kitchen, and that's nice. That's the kitchen in Gupta Govardhan. There's Malika, Sulakshana, Gaurnataraj Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. There he is. Oh, I see it. Yeah, Dandavat. And Nitai, Kum Dasi, Dandavat. Sulalita, and also Bhagavanda, Dandavat. Hare Krishna. And who else is with her? No? Pay attention over there. You can turn on her mic and she can tell you. I know that. And Bhagavan, there's one other lady there with her. So you can't communicate with them. Okay. Our Dandavats to all of you. Sundarananda Prabhu and Angkor Wat, Dandavat. Krishna Priya Didi, Govinda Farm, Dandavat. Rasananda Prabhu in Sochi, Dandavat. So you can't even send a text or anything. Communication is impossible. Maybe write a letter. Yeah. Rasananda and Sochi, Dandavat. This Alexei, Dandavat. Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Mars. He knows how to communicate. Suresh Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat. Jai Bhakti, Srila Bhakti, Sevan Rishikesh Maharaj, Dandavat. Praneshwari Didi, Dandavat. Dhananjay and Chaitanya Mohi and Roma, Dandavat. Anjali and Vilas and Shmail, that bumblebee dog, Dandavat. Damayanti Devi and Tom Dandavat, Ekadashi Devi, Dandavat. Gaurachandra Prabhu, Dandavat. Yuvati in Petersburg, Dandavat. Narayani at Vedalap, Dandavat. Hare Krishna. Pardon me? Hare Krishna. And remember everyone, this evening at 7:30, the Govardhan, there's Ashapurna Didi, Dandavat, Divya Shakti Didi, Dandavat, Ajita Krishna Prabhu, Anandita, Dandavat, Lila Sundar Prabhu, Dandavat, Rupa Vilas Prabhu, Dandavat, Dharini, Sundari, Dandavat, Rupa Vilas, Odar Jalila, Didi, Dandavat, Sulakshana, they're all here. Ajitasha, Dandavat. Did I miss Suchitra Didi, Dandavat? Krishna Mohini Didi in Salt Lake, Dandavat. Ragaleka Didi, Dandavat. Harimati Didi in Ukraine, Dandavat. Hare Krishna. That everyone? Bancha Kalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhavevata Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. And if you're able, this evening, 7:30 Chiang Mai time, the continuation with Srila Bhakti, Ranjan, Madhusudan, myself, and others of the Brajamandal Parikrama, specifically the glories of Govardhan, Manasi Ganga, Kusum Sarovar, Govinda Kunda, Haridev, and others. Other praiseworthy divine places. Hare Krishna, and Brajamandal, Jai Srila Gurudev, Srila Guru Maharaj.
And Maharaj Sulalita is here live if you like to ask her now. I just sent her a message and she opened her microphone.
Hare Krishna. Sulalita, I see you with Bhagavan Das, but who else is with you?
Bhagavan. English.
I don't, I mean,
Суlalita, кто рядом с тобой еще? Бхагаван и...
Таруни рядом, Бхagavan
Taruни. Taruni, okay, that's Taruni.
Taruni, Didi, Dandavat.
Taruни.
All right, my Dandavats to you all. Hare Krishna.
Dandavat, Dandavat, Dandavat. Goodbye, everybody. My Dandavat. Shri Govardhan Parikrama ki jai, Shri Govardhan Puja ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Vancha kalpatrubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Let us all join together for Sankirtan, Sankirtan and Parikrama this afternoon, and it is at 7:30 p.m. Thailand time, so work out your local time. Dandavat. Hare Krishna.